Hello, I'm Leif and this is Leaf TV, and this is an episode that I'm doing on sacred land stewardship and permaculture design. And I'm teaching a workshop this week in North San Diego County on this topic. And I thought it would be useful to provide some context and a little introduction for those who might be interested in coming out and joining us. So what is sacred land stewardship? From my perspective, sacred land stewardship is really recognizing that the land that we live on, the ecology that is everywhere in our world, outside of us and inside of us, this land system that has created all of human culture and all of human economics and all of each one of us is sacred. It's holy. It's us. It's a reflection of us. It is what created us. It's what we've evolved within and from and inside of and as part of. We're part and parcel of the land. And it's also where our ancestors go back to. In a lot of traditions, the land, the element of the earth, is very much connected to the ancestors. So there's this idea that our ancestors go to the stars and the heavens as well. And the way I see it is that our spirit, our spiritual energy, goes to the heavens when we pass out of this human body, when we die from our human form. Our spiritual energy goes to the heavens, but our physical body, the minerals and the sugars and the all the muscles and the tendons and the bones and everything inside of our being, it goes back to the earth. It goes back into the cycle and the system of the earth. And so there's this connection in a lot of cultures that the earth is our ancestors. It's where we bury our ancestors, right? And so there's this honoring of the ancestors through the element of the earth and through the element of the water. And so sacred land stewardship is really this recognition that we are the land is us, we're totally connected, and that if we don't take care of the land, if we don't take care of the ecology and the natural environment that created our human existence, then we're basically digging out the foundation from underneath of our house, and our house is going to fall over. Our whole human civilization is going to fall over if we're not being good stewards of the land. And so this word stewardship, I've talked with a few people who don't even know what stewardship means, and so it's important to clarify, well, what is a steward? And the word steward comes from the term warden. So steward, the last part of that is to be a good warden. And so to be a good steward is to be a good protector, a good guard of something, whether it's a property or an estate or a pile of cash or prison inmates or whatever it is. It's to be a warden of those things, to protect and to guard the safety and the health and integrity of something. And so sacred land stewardship is really this recognition and honoring of the land as holy and as something that is a part of us. It's a part of our temple. It's our outer temple that has created our own inner temple. And so sacred land stewardship is really a set of philosophies and practices that restore the health of a land system, that supports the integrity and regeneration of the water cycle and of the mineral cycle and of the air and the atmospheric cycles, as well as honoring the sun and the solar energy that drives all life on Earth, that fuels all life on planet Earth. So this workshop that I'm doing in San Diego, North San Diego County this week is really, we're going to dive deep into this topic. But what I'd like to provide in this is just a quick overview of what are some of the kinds of topics that we're going to be considering. And so we're at this 2.5 acre macadamia nut farm and rural ranch home property in Southern California. And the first thing that is going to be of utmost importance for this context is, of course, water. Water is life, right? Water is the fluid of all of creation. It provides the circulation, the flow of energy in plants, in humans, in the whole entire ecosystem of a terrestrial biosphere, of a land-based system. And so this this workshop in this context is really how do we restore the systems and the cycles of the land. So the water cycle, we're going to be looking at rainwater harvesting earthworks, rainwater harvesting tanks, potentially, you know, what might be a good location to put a rainwater harvesting tank. What kinds of wastewater can we recycle and reuse, like gray water? You know, the first one to always consider is honoring the water that's being used to wash our clothes, because laundry water, wash water, is a very easy and simple one most often to get out into the landscape. Sometimes washing machines are in really tricky, challenging places that make it hard to utilize in the landscape, but typically doing a laundry to landscape system is one of the first steps in really honoring the water cycle, the water recycling, I should say, on your property, on your you know, your home and garden. And then, of course, looking for water waste, water leaks, broken water pipes. You know, one of my clients has recently, this client here in San Diego has recently told me that they have a really high water bill, and they'd like to, you know, figure out ways of reducing that, of course. And so not only do they, you know, not want to be wasting water and overusing water in a drought, and, you know, in a large scale dehydration kind of atmospheric cycle, but they also want to save money, which makes perfect sense. So we're going to be looking at ways of really drought proofing the landscape. How do we increase the irrigation efficiency? You know, maybe switching to drip emitters. They don't have drip emitters at this point. They use more of the PVC micro sprinklers. But also looking at how do we, you know, provide for rainwater harvesting earthworks that are going to help drought proof the whole landscape. How do we build the carbon, the soil carbon in the soil by composting and cycling nutrients as much as possible on the site. So whenever we have green waste that we're going to be cutting up and chopping up on this site, you know, we don't want to ship that off to be ground up and mulched on some other property. We want to cycle that and keep that in this landscape property and use that green waste, that carbon, as food for the soil. It's really, you know, carbon is the basis of a soil food web. It's what really catalyzes a lot of the other organisms in the soil. I should say it's the catalyst for a lot of the whole organism food web in the soil, starting, you know, with providing food for fungi and bacteria and other microorganisms that really start to create a lot more drought resistance in soil. When you increase the humic acid and the carbon content of a soil, it's really going to increase its drought tolerance, and it also increases fertility and you know, the health of the crop, the tree that you're, you know, trying to produce. In this context, they have you know, I was saying, they have a bunch of mac nut trees. This is a macadamia tree that I'm sitting under here. And there's also some citrus and some olive and palm and some other, you know, things that are interplanted into this site. But yeah, so we're really going to look at the water system and how we can be a part of healing the water cycle to begin with. That's really one of the first steps in sacred land stewardship, as well as permaculture design. And I'll talk more about permaculture in a moment. But so the water cycle, you know, again, catching rainwater, reusing water, looking at, you know, maybe even composting toilets so that we're not contaminating the potable quality drinking water with human feces, but actually, you know, saving that water for more important uses. And if not, there's also some wastewater treatment systems that can be constructed that will reuse the nutrients and the water resources that's being put out into the ecosystem, rather than a septic tank, for instance. There's some other living machines that can be constructed, so we'll be looking at that. And we'll also be, you know, looking again at the soil health and how we can, you know, implement a set of practices and procedures to really feed the soil health, to build the soil carbon, to insulate the soil wherever possible with mulch, and you know, cover cropping and living mulches of plants, and multiple layered systems of food forestry, where we're, you know, utilizing multiple niches in an ecosystem to provide a layered effect with lots of canopy and understory and shrub layers and vines so that we get more resiliency and more stacking. So we're going to be looking at all that, and we're also going to be looking at how to use plants in a really aesthetic and functional way. So what is a good site design? Well, that all depends on the context. Where are the sun paths in the sky? Where's the wind coming from? Where's the winter rains? Where's the maybe the prevailing winds? What are the neighbor influencing energies? Sometimes we refer to these as sectors in permaculture. And are there neighbors that we want to screen out because they have a direct view of our back patio, or is there an ugly building on our property or on our neighbor's property that we want to put some plants in front of? So really getting clear on that goal, that holistic goal, is the first step in this sacred land stewardship and permaculture designs. Clear on what are the needs of the clients, of the users, of the community, of the farm, of the plants and the animals. Really doing a clear needs inventory of all the current and existing needs, and also the future envisioned needs of where we want to be 2, 5, 10 years down the road. And so then we're going to be looking at also the resources. What do we have existing? What are the financial resources? What are the buildings that we have? How much water do we have available to us? What kind of plants and animals do we already have on the site? All of these things, we really want to begin with this comprehensive communication and dialogue with the site about what are all the existing needs and resources, and then we can start to link them up and create an integrative design and synergistic relationships between elements. So that's going to be a big part of the process this weekend. And then we're also, because this course is focusing, and the topic of this video is focused on this sacred land stewardship, we have to really look at what are our belief systems and our relationships about the land. From my perspective, the decline and the destruction of human civilization, or the degenerative nature of humanity today on the planet, is largely rooted in this idea that we've been thrown from the Garden of Eden, that we had some original sin of eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and therefore we have been, because of that sin, we've been thrown from the Garden of Eden. And so I feel a big part of restoring nature and restoring our relationship with nature is about telling ourselves our new story, and it's okay that we had that story. It was a part of the evolution of humanity to be thrown from the garden, and then to realize our separateness and our disconnection, and how we're destroying that which sustains us and feeds us. That's where we're at as a human species right now. And I believe that the objective at this time in human evolution is to understand that separation that we have created in our mind, in our stories, in our narratives, in our mythology, and to start to tell a new story, to weave a new tapestry of our reality, which is, it's happening everywhere. That's why you hear people talking about creating a new earth, and this awakening of human consciousness that's happening, this blossoming of our infinite, connectedness and oneness with all of life. And so a lot of times when people ask me, what's the essence of what I teach? Well, the essence of it is really teaching on unity consciousness, and helping people understand scientifically how we're one with the water cycle, how we're one with the minerals in the soil that build our bones and our physical structure of our body, how we're one with the sun and the energy from the sun that comes down and it nourishes all the food that we eat, all of the plants that give us shade, all of the energy that exists on planet Earth is from the sun. Even fossil fuels, ancient sun energy that's been fossilized, right? So the sun is the driver, the fuel of all life on planet Earth. And so it's an important part of sacred land stewardship to recognize that. We don't have to be worshiping the sun like it's some deity, but it is, after all, the Son of God, right? It's quite a superstar of our reality here on planet Earth. And we're in an amazing relationship with the sun, where we're just a perfect distance from the sun to be able to have liquid water. Much closer and we'd be too dry, much further and we'd be too cold. So in addition to the atmosphere that the Earth has evolved and created over millions and millions and billions of years, the distance from the sun, it creates this really unique situation here on Earth for the balance of the four elements of water, earth, air, and fire. And so that's really the core of sacred land stewardship, is recognizing that we are one with all of life, that we're one with creation, we're one with nature and the garden. It's a mirror for us. It's a mirror for our own unconsciousness and our own state of awareness. And we can use it as a tool for our growth and our medicine. You can go out into nature and set intentions, ask a question, and it can mirror back some powerful medicine and teachings. I was just driving to San Diego last night to my client's house that I'll be out here for a few weeks in North San Diego County. And I as I was driving up the driveway, I saw a white barn owl, and it was just sitting on a fence next to us as we drove by, and then it kind of spread out its wings and flapped its wings a little bit, but it didn't fly away. It just stood there. And it was like this kind of this blessing energy as we were coming in, and owls carry this wisdom energy. So I just felt like this blessing of the wisdom energy as we were entering into this new site, this new relationship with these clients that I have down here. And it was also really this just beautiful affirmation of I'm on the right track, I'm on the right journey. I have a strong connection with owl medicine. And then also, once I got to my client's house, I was laying in bed in the house, and this was really interesting. I was just laying there, and I look over, and there's a bee, a honeybee, crawling on my arm. It's like, where did this bee come from? It's just in the house. There's no other bugs, no other insects. It's a perfectly clean, beautiful house, and everything is tidy and everything. And there's just this bee crawling on me. I was like, oh wow, that's some interesting bee medicine. So. It's just an affirmation of my role as a guardian and protector of fertility and of balance, the sacred balance of nature. I've known that for some time. My name is Leif, right? I'm very connected with the green man archetype and this guardian and protector of nature and natural systems, and our ancient and inherent wisdom of being connected to the land and the elementals. And so yeah, sacred land stewardship, that's kind of my overview, my perspective. And if I had a class full of people and there was a bunch of different perspectives, I might say it a little bit different, but that's just on the spot here, my one cut authentic expression of it. And also, so what is permaculture? We'll be talking more about that as well in some upcoming videos, as well as this workshop this weekend. So permaculture is an integrated design science that is rooted in a set of ethics and core design principles that really provide us a ethical design science for how to live in balance and harmony with nature. It's really a design system that is based on nature so that we can create regenerative human systems living in nature, in connection with nature. It started out as really a focus on permanent agriculture, but it quickly evolved to become applied to creating permanent culture systems. And so permaculture is a brilliant science created by Bill Mollison and David Holmgren. And Bill Mollison just passed away this year, a few weeks ago. It was about a month or two ago. And but it's really very much based on understanding the patterns of nature and how we can utilize and understand these patterns to create more harmony and synergy and coherence in our design systems, more resonance with natural principles. And so this the ethics of permaculture, which I'll just mention briefly. I won't go into all of the design principles because that can be a whole talk, a whole hour-long video, or a whole day conversation in a workshop. But the ethics of permaculture are to be caring for the earth first, then we also care for all the people, and the third is to set limits to consumption or population, which is often, the third is often referred to as fair share, and some people are also referring to that as the care of the future, because setting limits and providing fair share is really about what are we inheriting, what are we giving to our future generations, and are we taking care of their needs in all of the choices that we make in this life today. So that's just a real quick overview of sacred land stewardship and permaculture design. And and this workshop. And I think the other element that I would share, I started to talk about the narratives and the stories that we humans tell ourselves, but it's also about understanding that the practices of sacred relationship are can be a part of our day-to-day life. So for me, like taking out the compost is a ceremony. It's a ritual. I love taking out the compost. It's not a chore. I get to go give the land an offering of this fertility, of these minerals, of these nutrients. It's a great honor for me to be able to take out the compost and give that land that offering. And so when I'm cutting my fingernails or cutting my hair or any part of my waste stream, if I'm gardening and cutting trees, it's all an opportunity to feed the land, to feed the soil. It's this sacred relationship. And so also we can use the element of fire. We can gather around as a community. We can do ceremonies, set intentions, really create a powerful human container of co-creation and of aligning with the force of nature. Nature works and operates in circles, and so when humans come together in a circle, there's a powerful and profound flow of energy in the circle. And that's one of the practices that I also teach and facilitate, is this way of counsel, this circle ceremony work that really honors the archetypal energies in communities and in groups of people, and helps teams perform and optimize their energy and their relationship with each other, because there's a resonance and a coherence that gets built when we can trust each other, and we can really listen and speak from our heart and be in right relationship in our groups and our teams. So let's see, is there anything else? So, and also, yeah, just the recognition that the inner garden, the inner landscape is also a really critical component of sacred land stewardship. We have to recognize that our own inner temple is a critical part of our stewardship responsibility. We have to take care of our own inner gardens, our own inner ecosystem, in order to thrive and to love and to grow. If we're polluting ourselves and we're contaminating ourselves and we're causing lots of suffering in our own physical body, it makes it hard for us to really enjoy life and to create happy and positive relationships with all of those around us. So for me, sacred land stewardship and permaculture design starts with the self, starts with taking that self-responsibility to create a better world, and then it ripples out into our work and our purpose and our passion in the world and what it is that we do to create prosperity for ourselves and others. And then it goes out into our community and our relationships, from our family to our work world relationships to our greater neighborhoods and communities, and out into ecosystems and ecology and the natural world, and understanding how to be good stewards of all the relationships in our life, and take responsibility for being the change that we wish to see in the world. So I'll be doing more topics like this, more in-depth teachings and shares on permaculture and my new field of study and science that I've been creating, which I call apriculture design. It's about creating appreciative culture of regenerative living and appropriate technology use. So more to come on all that. Stay tuned. Subscribe if you like this this channel and the content that I'm going to be providing on how do we create a new earth, how do we live in a healing and regenerative way with all of the relationships of all the spheres of our reality. So yeah, subscribe if you like this content, if you like this video. Please feel free to add some comments or like this video, share it with others if it was inspiring to you. And if you're interested in learning more, feel free to sign up for one of my workshops or just inquire with me on my website, and then we'd be happy to have a conversation with you about how we can we can look at your context, your property, your life and your relationships, and how we can all learn to grow bigger, love stronger, and thrive in all areas of our life. So thanks again for watching, and hope to see you next time. Have a great day.